Hey everyone, my name is Rooster and welcome back to Mechabellum. For today's video, I have brought a guest, Scey. You can see him on the left side of the screen. We're going to be talking about one of the new mechanics that have been added in the game since the Chaos patch in February. What we're going to be talking about today are these free unit cards, specifically in patch 745.1, which is live. And what we'll be talking about is what I'm about to show you guys when I zoom out. It is all of the available free unit cards from round 2 until round 13 being the last round where you can actually get offered free unit cards. And we're just going to go through it and give some comments, share our ideas. And yeah, I mean, also just show you what's actually available, because some of these cards you might not see every now and then, and it might be fun to know that they actually do exist. So, without further ado, let's start at the start on round number 2.
I want to make a small correction. We actually don't know if it's all the units cards, but it certainly is most of the unit cards. So right now there's no really good way in the game to see all the cards. So we have to kind of go into testing grounds and randomize and hope for all cards to appear. But there's no guarantee that this is all the cards.
Yeah, but we probably have got most of them. We hope. I think we currently have, what, 300?
304, I think.
Okay, so 304 different free unit cards. And, well, if another one shows up that we haven't got, hopefully it fits somewhere in the trends that we will see as we move through these. So, round 2, the way that I've ordered this is obviously per round, and then also per cost. That is sell value plus unlock cost. So, for things like Marksman, it's just purely the, 100 cost unit that are free to unlock. It's only their sell value. Anything else, the unlock value will also be added. So 50 for 200 cost, 100 for 300 cost and hackers, and then 200 for the giants. Round 2. Do you already have anything here that you want to mention specifically? I mean, obviously the Rhino card seems to be highly valuable, 450, and it's the only one in its category.
Yes. So there's actually a few suggestions. So first off, drop round 2 isn't that impactful for the long run. So you can think about just picking this unit card to win the early game and then sell it afterwards if you don't plan on going further into the units.
Yeah, because I mean, 2 level 2 rhinos is also just quite powerful on round 2.
Yes, for example, you could flank on both sides with rhinos and sell them afterwards. You could also go for 1 level 7 crawler, by the way, to really annoy your opponent, because it's a lot of stats actually and hard to deal with.
Yeah, I had a game recently where I got the level 7 Fang on round 2, and I just pivoted into Fang carry, which isn't that good, but I mean, if you have a level 7 Fang, it kind of can work. Anything else here? I mean, the standouts, of course, is that this is something we will see as we move through this, is that the Marksman cards and the Arclight cards are very low sell value overall, which also seems to be true for high levels, the only exception being the Chaff. High-level Chaff doesn't seem to care at all and will often be seen in the highly valued free unit cards.
Yes, I do think Arclight and Marksman are in round 2 still a decent pick, because you kind of need, if you want to play Marksman and Arclights, you kind of need deployments. You get some deployments, get a kickstart, and then you just level naturally and can go into it further.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Obviously, white spam units like Fangs and Crawler are also very good early on, and you can just keep them. So early deployment's always very good and very safe, so you don't really commit to anything, which is a decent thing. But I think that's enough for round 2.
All right.
if you don't have to add something.
Let's move on to round number 3 then. Here we are. On the outskirts, again, we will see triple level 1 Rhino being the highest value. And on the very bottom, and we will see this as well, is the poor level 6 Arclight. For some reason, Arclights seem to be valued a little bit lower even than their marksman counterparts. So oftentimes you will see in these packs that the Arclights will be at the very bottom and often have one less level than the same marksman card. This is also, round 3 is also a round where you can get the giants offered. So I think this is quite a powerful round overall. Oftentimes, like if you will want to unlock a giant, it will show up on round 3. And it's a powerful like Kickstarter for the rest of the comp that you might be building.
And we actually see a lot of different units here, not just giants, but also Scorpion,
Yep.
Wraith, Hacker. So actually 16 out of 19 units can be found in round 3, which is kind of early.
Yeah, that is a lot. There's also some pretty high level ones in here, like they get level 3 Mustangs, level 3 Phoenixes, even level 4 Sledges and Steel Balls.
I wouldn't recommend the high-level Arclight or Marksman cards, but the other cards are kind of decent if you want to start going into one direction. You can find something here.
Yep. Also,
or just
there's
pick a one Vulcan or something. Very safe.
Yeah. You can also see here there's you can get the 5 fangs or 5 crawlers. It won't happen that often because you will need either or both opponents not to have either fangs or crawlers on the board, but also can be a very, very powerful turn if it does show up, or like just a good pickup overall, and have your chaff situation sorted for the rest of the game. So yeah, I mean round 3, quite diverse, lot of options, and
yes. And if you want to push, you have decent cards for pushing. For example, the Steel Ball, high value, level 4. That's a lot of stats, very annoying to deal with. Level 2 Wraith, also a lot of stats, decent for pushing. And obviously, 3 Rhinos, best value card here.
Yep. So that is round number 3. Let's head on to the last round of the first set of free unit cards. Round 4.
Yes. So to explain what he means with the first set of unit cards, there's actually 4 brackets of unit cards where you can get them in the game. So in the early game, round 2, 3, or 4, there's one card coming up in one of those rounds. And yeah, if you didn't see a card in round 2 or 3, you know that round 4 you are guaranteed to see the cards.
Yep. And here again, poor level 8 Arclight, all the way in the corner. Well, at the top, but valued as the lowest value card. Level 9 Marksman also can show up here for the first time. And then the spread becomes kind of as we expect it. Outliers here, again, 4 Rhinos on round 4, highest value pack. So from rounds 2 to 4, that is the one that has the highest sell value. Of course, it does have 4 units, so selling out of it will take some time. But if you want to use them, or if you want to play Rhinos, then having 4 and even being able to buy more yourself that turn can be very menacing. Overlord card is the only giant that can get offered on route number 4. Level 2 Overlord, also quite strong. And is a unit that is very, very powerful in the current meta, is being seen a lot. And we will also see that in terms of free unit cards, it seems to be it seems to be the giant that actually does show up the most as well.
Yes, Overlord is generally kind of undervalued, I feel like, compared to other giants in those unit cards. So you get which is good for you if you want to play Overlords. So
Yeah.
Arclights are the opposite, and I do think in this bracket, I wouldn't pick any of the cards that are 550 or lower. They don't seem
Yep.
that great to me.
Yep. I would agree. I can maybe see something for like the double level 4 marksman in very specific situations. But otherwise, yeah, I would tend to agree. It's better to go for the other stuff.
I guess a marksman could be good against air push.
Yeah.
If you have anti-air on your marksman.
Yeah. If you're struggling with like a Wraith or something like that, or you're expecting an Overlord, then.
Also, something that we see in this round is that the spread is very wide.
Yeah.
Which is the trend that will continue. So in the first 2 rounds, it doesn't really matter that much if you go on top or on the bottom from the value. But here, it's like 50% value if you pick the Arclights.
Yep.
That's kind of crazy.
Yep. And what we will also see now is that, again, it seems to be that high-level cards get a certain penalty in terms of the sell value that they will have. But this does not apply to the high-level chaff packs. The only thing is that you will never, ever encounter these because, again, you need both players to not have the unit on the board for this card not to show up. So double level 7 Fang or double level 7 Crawler, even though it's one of the highest value packs, is probably never going to show up. But it's cool to know that these do, in fact, exist.
Yeah. And actually, in round 4, sometimes they do show up. But obviously, later on, it's going to be even rarer.
Yeah. Okay. So that would be... Okay, this is also, by the way, you can often see that things like steel balls and sledges ought to be paired or will be paired. Funnily enough, in round 4 specifically, they're not. Well, they are the same value, but for some reason you get 2 level 2 steel balls and 1 level 5 sledge. Although maybe that card does exist, but we just haven't found it. And then this is also where Wraith and Scorpion, being kind of the same unit, are starting to diverge a little bit. You will often see them in the same bracket, but oftentimes they won't be the same unit pack. So here you get 2 Wraith, which is worth 700 if you include unlock cost, but you get a level 3 Scorpion. And this is something that will continue as we go through these unit rounds. And, well, just seemed interesting.
Actually, Wraith should be a bit worse in value in most of the cards later on.
Yeah.
So even though they're both 300 cost units with 100 supply unlock cost, the developer thinks they're different from each other.
Yeah. All right, so let's go to round number 5. Here we go. An L-shaped.
Just like you on stream yesterday.
Yeah, thank you.
Big L.
Funnily enough, actually, most of the cards here are in the highest value pack, all the way at the bottom.
Yes.
And a lot of high deploys. This is a very valuable round. You can get 4 steel balls, 4 sledges, 4 rhinos, show up again. 4 wasps, 4 phoenix. Scorpion, level 4, is in this bracket, and the Wraith is actually in the 700 bracket, as we see, is level 3, 1 level lower. And then at the top, we can again see the Arclights and the Marksman. On this...
Actually, the one Rhino level 5 is on 650, not 850. So small mistake there.
Oh, it's a 650 one?
Yeah. Level 5 Rhino is 200 plus 400 plus 50.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, so sometimes there will be small mistakes, but we try to fix them.
There
if
we
you
go.
see them.
There it is. Okay. And then again here, actually, we do get giants showing up. Although this time, no Overlord. Well, we had seen the level 2 Overlord in round 4. Now on round 5, we get to see the level 2 fortresses and melting points and the Vulcan, but Overlord and nowhere to be seen. I'm not sure if you had anything to add on this round, or if we'd like to go on to round 6.
Like, obviously, the most value is in the bottom,
Yeah.
like those cards. But also, you can think about a high level Mustang, which kind of is a safe card for items if you have an item.
Yeah.
And also, level 6 steelboards are available.
Yep.
And even if you don't go further into steelboards, just having one level 6 steelboard, especially with an item, can be really annoying if you push.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to deal for the opponent with it.
True. And then otherwise, I mean, anything from the bottom is usually a somewhat safe pick.
Yeah. If you want to start into giants, it's always good to pick giants for the undercost.
Yep.
If that is your game plan. Just a very solid round.
Yep. And I mean, that's also been my experience overall. I think I prefer the early rounds over the late rounds. Just having a little bit of a boost, a pat on the back in the early levels to help you go into a certain direction is nice. After that, the cards sometimes start getting a bit ridiculous, or like you don't really know what to do with them, or you'd rather sell them because you already went into a certain direction. I feel like these ones still will get used throughout the game.
Yes. I do think this patch isn't as bad as the first patches. So
Yep.
I actually looked up
Agree.
some cards from the past, from like February 1st, when the patch first got introduced.
Yep.
And that was a crazy patch. This one is way toned down. And for some people that really hated February 1st, the patch, maybe they should look back into it because it isn't as crazy anymore. Not that
Yep.
much chaos anymore.
I agree. If we then take a look at round number 6, again, poor Arclights all the way at the top. No Marksman on round 6. High level Hacker, high level Rhino. And then we have kind of the same pack we just saw, valued at 850. The 4 Steel Balls, the 4 Sledges, the Wasps, the Phoenix, the level 4 Scorpion. They all show up again. However, there are some other packs that are worth more. The highest value being 1,000, and these are double giants. So 2 Fort, 2 Melt, 2 Overlords. And you can also get a level 3 Overlord. So this is where we see that Overlord gets a different option as well, which makes it a bit more likely to be offered too.
Yes, so even though Hacker is kind of low value, it's still a decent card in range setups, or if you can use the shield, because Hacker with shield have a decent amount of HP, so in round 6 you also have enough money to buy more Hackers with techs.
Yep.
So if that is your gameplay, it's still a good card. Level 6 Rhino is kind of scary to go into that, but if you have an item for it and you want to go for it, you can go for it. It's not that bad. So yeah. Obviously, everything like the giants are really good value.
Yep.
Also the deployments for like sledges and stuff.
And I guess it also would depend kind of on, well, as always, it depends on what cards are actually being offered. And does the card that you want to pick get immediately countered by any of the other cards that are also being offered? Going into a level 3 Overlord, for instance, if you pick the Rhino, might not be the smartest decision, but...
For example, Rhino here has a lot of counters. I mean, we don't know the options you have in game, but
yeah,
there's steelboards here, there's overlords here, meta, all good cards against rhinos.
yeah.
So we have to keep that in mind.
All right, that's round number 6. Round number 7 then.
And again, that's another bracket. So if you didn't see a unit card in round 5 or 6, you're guaranteed to see a unit card in round 7.
Yep. This is a weird one. Another L-shaped one. However, there's one outlier with the triple level 6 crawlers. It seems like fangs and crawlers have the same packs, so there's probably the same fang pack existing for this one as well. But as said before, round number 7, this likely will never show up. But it is, again, a funny thing that all of these are so high valued.
I tried to find the fang card yesterday because Rooster told me about it. And I found other cards that I didn't know existed, but I didn't find the fang card. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Then maybe they'll give us this data at some point.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Hopefully.
Maybe.
I mean, one reason why we do this video is actually to give transparency, I guess, about the unit cards, because a lot of stuff isn't really known. So, for example, yesterday we had a situation, of the day before, I don't know, where Jota, a very good and famous German streamer and Mechabellum player, got a unit offered in round 9. And because there was already so many units on the board, and in round 9 you can only get cards for 11 out of 19 units, which is the lowest value, by the way. So in that case, there wasn't 4 units left that are not on the board and also have cards available. So he got offered a card for units that he already had on the board. So his first instinct was to say it's a bug, because he simply didn't know, and there was no way to know in the game that in round 9 you only can get cards for 11 out of 19 units.
It's happened to me before as well with Scorpions. I think on round 8, I had Scorpions on the board, unteched, so there's that. But I did have a Scorpion on the board, and then I got a Scorpion card offered anyway. Which, as long as they're unteched, I guess not the biggest issue. At the same time, if you already have a bunch of units on the board and you get even more, and you can buy even more, suddenly you face the possibility of having to deal with a lot of tech units that were previously, well, maybe not there, or you weren't expecting to have to deal with that threat.
Yes. It's a good thing. In round 7, there's 17 out of 19 cards, so shouldn't happen there.
Yeah.
But round 8 or 9, it's sometimes it will happen around 8 or 9.
Yep. Anything else? I mean, again, here we'll see. I mean, okay, so Wraith and Scorpion are in the same 1000 value bracket here. At least the triple level 1 packs. But Scorpion has double level 2, which is the same value. And Wraith has 1 level 4, which is 850. So there you see them diverging again. And I think that's pretty much everything. I mean, again, like here, Scorpions, Wraith, I mean, the Giants, just good value.
Yes, and in the late game, usually Giants are just strong.
Yeah.
You could also use the Rhinos, for example, for a blender attempt.
Yeah, triple level 2 Rhino is pretty good. There's also 4 Hackers, which is on certain boards can be quite impactful. Maybe in certain situations you might need to get something like 2 level 3 Mustang. If you already have an item for them, it can be quite powerful, but all right. That's the first 2 brackets dealt with, round 2 to round 7. So now it's time to move up to the higher brackets, starting with round 8 to round 10. So on round 8, we'll actually see that there is not that many options. only giant that's available is a level 3 Vulcan. All the other ones can't be offered.
Yes, there's actually 13 out of 19 units presented in round 8.
Yeah. So a candidate for getting potentially cards that are already on the board in certain scenarios. We can see here as well that Scorpion isn't being offered, but Wraith is. Overlord is Overlord is also a giant that's being offered, and it's by far the highest value.
Yes.
It's the only one in the 1200 category. Level 4 Overlord. Anything below that is worth 1050. And all of these, except the Sledgehammer and Steel Ball cards, are also not easy to sell out of. So yeah, this is a very weird unit card.
Yes, and a very good card. So you could, for example, if you want to go Overlords, you could sell the level 4 Overlord and just buy normal Overlords with tax. In case you want Photon Emission, for example, or
Yeah.
Boss Spawn, which are tags that are good on level 1 Overlords.
If the card doesn't show up, level 5 level 1 Steel Balls are something that people like to pick up sometimes to go for instant mech div. This is especially the case on pushes. But, I mean, you could probably even make it work on standard if you just want more chaff. 5 Mustangs, 5 Storms can be really good as well. 5 Mustang being something I see picked up quite often if it does show up.
Yes, and all those cards that Rooster is talking about are very popular, so you will see them in a lot of games.
Yeah. Otherwise, there's a high-level Mustang. The Rhino is on round 8.
I wouldn't pick a Rhino on round 8.
No.
Like one Rhino, it's too dangerous. Because there will be giants on the board, like Meta or Overlords.
Yep.
And they have kind of an easy game against Rhinos. Mustangs are always decent with items. So level 7 Mustangs could be picked up if you have an item.
Yep.
Also, 3 Phoenix or 3 Mustangs, level 2 are kind of safe.
Yep.
They're like a decent addition to your composition most of the time. And the Hacker, 2 level 3 Hacker can also be picked up.
Yeah. And then poor Arclight card, level 700 value at the top.
I don't think you really want to go around 8. I mean, you could go for Elite Arclights. However, Elite Arclights struggle against giants. And in round 8, going for 2 Arclights trying to kill giants, that's usually not a good decision.
It's just like such a, I don't know, it just doesn't feel playable, really. Because it's really hard to get other high-level Arclights after you have these two. You're kind of stuck with these two. So are you really going to invest multiple techs into them when there's just easier options available? I mean, no. So that's why I guess people don't really pick them.
And you also see that Wasp has worse value than Phoenix.
Yep.
So, which I think is not really fair. Wasp is not that great of a unit. And there's not a lot of leveled Wasp cards that I would pick. And that's kind of like a good example here. Getting 1 level 6 Wasp in round 8 means you won't get another Wasp up and running with techs. Like, you can play 1 Wasp with a tech, but that's not really efficient.
No.
And yeah.
It can work as like a gut shot type of thing. But if the game goes long, then this is not really worth it. Because you kind of have to give it a tech. So that means you can't, or like selling out of it afterwards, it's just going to be, well, economically a disaster. So like either you're stuck keeping it, which will not bode well for you if the game does go for more than 1 round. Or yeah, you picked something which is just lower value than the other stuff that was probably being offered. All right, that's round 8. And round 9 is up next. Big spread over here.
Yes, in round 9 we won't see chef units usually.
Yeah, so
appearing.
they are the highest
So,
value, but we can kind of cut them out of the picture.
yep.
Rhino, level 6, highest value. Not quite the same as the Overlord we saw the round previous, but still level 6.
Yeah, and
One
he's pointing on
more
the
than the
Scorpion, not
Wraith.
the Rhino, by the way.
Oh, Scorpion, yeah, sorry. The Wraith actually gets one level less, so it's valued at 1,000. Hacker cards on round 9, quite powerful too. 5 level 1s is a lot, and even 3 level 2s is a very good unit card.
Yes, I would recommend both hacker cards. Also, Rhino and Steeball, if that is your plan, they can be annoying to deal with. Could be an option.
Yep.
And I actually think if you really need additional spam clear, or for example, you want something against air units and you have anti-air on your Arclights, you could pick the 6 deployment marksmen or Arclights.
Yep.
Both of them are not the best value, but they do the job. And 6 deployments, if you need the units, is very powerful in late game. And usually you have not enough money to instantly pick 2 techs and buy even more of them if you need to.
Yep, I think this is one of the, apart from like the very early round 2 or round 3 Arclight Marksman cards where you get like a bunch of level 1s, this one is also one of the best ones for that specific unit.
100% agree.
And then obviously Scorpion, if you want the highest sell value and you just want to get more money if it shows up, there it is. But yeah, we can see there is not much going on in this round. Really low variety of units.
As I said, there's 11 out of 19 units.
And so
And that is the lowest value of all of the rounds. So even in round 2, you can get 12 units.
That's
and
so
now in
insane.
round 9, a lot of people have a lot of units on the board.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a dangerous round here. Obviously, if the enemy gets a card, or you get a card, with a unit that he already has on the board, and already has tagged or something, that's kind of overpowered.
Yep. Round 10 then. Now this one does have more variety in it. Another trend again. Apart from
17 out of 19 cards. And something I want to say again. It's end of another bracket. So if you didn't see a unit card in round 8 or 9, you will be guaranteed to get one round 10.
That is true. And here we see a spread from 700 all the way at the bottom for 2 level 7 Arclights to 1400 with Overlords once again taking the top spot in terms of value, 2 level 2. Scorpion, Wraith, still high value as well, and actually in the same bracket for once. There is a bunch of very high deployment cards here, like 6 Mustang, 6 Phoenix, 6 Wasp, 6 Storms. Same thing with Balls and Sledges. All of these just solid picks, usually, as long as like the situation is right for them. Some other high value packs, I mean, there's high level Melters, high level Forts, if you just want to sell them and the other ones down below don't actually show up. And it's the only round where you can get a War Factory.
I think on the first patch, you could get 2 War Factories in round 9. And now you can get only 1 War Factory in round 10.
Yeah.
So it kind of shows the difference between the patches.
You could get a War Factory on round 5, I think, on the first day of the patch. But they have kind of toned it down so much that it can only show up as 1 level 1 War Factory and only on round 10.
Which I'm fine with because I don't like the units that much.
Yeah, that's same, but it's funny like how much it changed.
So I want to say in the 1250 bracket, there's also a lot of level 2 units, which are very good value. And level 2 units have twice the stats of level 1 units. So essentially, that's like the stats of 8 level 1 units. And at the same time, since there's still a lot of deployments, they are not that not that weak to getting targeted by counters, I guess. So you have like a good mix between having good stats and having like a lot of deployments on the board. So I recommend those for level 2 units.
Yep.
And also the same goes for level 2 overlords. It's a really good value. And you get 2 overlords with really great stats that actually can kill a lot of giants if they have good targeting.
Yep. I think that's a great summary there for round number 10. And then we move on to the very final bracket, round 11 to round 13, if you make it there, which doesn't happen all that often. Round 11, big spread here. I think this might have been the biggest spread in terms of value.
Nope. Last round was 700.
Oh,
you have good memory. This one is 600.
Well, I meant like in terms of brackets in between, right? That's more what I meant.
Okay.
Although no, actually that doesn't even add up either. It's round 10 that has the biggest one. I think. Yep. All right. Anything in here? We can see at the bottom that Overlord shows up again. So the same pack we could get on round 10 is also offered on round 11, but now his giant buddies also show up. 2 level 2 melters, 3 level 1 melters, 2 level 2 fortresses, and we're going to ignore the high level crawlers and fangs, although they are really high value still, which is crazy. 6 hackers is a wild card.
I do think 6 hackers is really strong.
Yeah.
Also giants cards.
Yeah. Scorpion, again, higher value than the Wraith, but the Wraith is one single level 6. Although I don't think it's that amazing. It's usually you just pick it up to sell it. It's very rarely that you want to like maybe go for a field maintenance armor type of deal if your opponent is only relying on Mustangs for AA, but yeah, not the best unit, I would say. There's again high deployments, so like 4 level 2 sledges show up again, although all the other ones that we saw previously have gone. No high level 1 unit card deployments. And then, I mean, at the bottom here, there's a level 8 Wasp, but around 11. You could maybe double deck it and cheese around. There's a level 9 Rhino there as well, but round 11, most boards would be able to deal with it.
Yeah, so sometimes you need some specific counter. Let's, for example, say the enemy is playing Wasp on Overlords.
Yep.
Then you pick up the Mustangs, even though they don't have the best value.
Yep.
But usually at round 11, you shouldn't really need like a big answer to something. So I would prefer like the hacker or the giants here.
Yep. Fair enough.
Or the Stormcaller. It's also decent.
Yes, Stormcaller 2 level or 4 level 2s. Pretty good.
Yes. Just to kill somebody in one round, which round 11, you always think about killing your opponent, right?
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Let's move on to round 12 then. Pretty big spread here as well. 900 to 1500. We're going to ignore all the chaff units all the way at the bottom. Scorpion. Highest value pack. 3 level 2s. There is a bunch of giant cards being offered. Again, the level 2 melters and fortresses show up. The Vulcans. There's a level 5 fortress available as well. So really good sell value there. Wraith is in 2 categories. Same level 6 is also available on round 12 as it was on round 11. There's high deployments here for Phoenix and Mustang, although in round 12, I mean, if you really need it, you could pick it up, but probably you should have those sorted by now. And then there's like a couple like outliers, like the level 9 Mustangs, Phoenix. There's 2 level 4 hackers. I don't know. For most of these, usually I just kind of look at the sell value and just sell whichever one is worth the most, honestly. Because by this stage, usually your comp is just your comp. Like you've got everything on the board. All that you need now is levels, temporary range, more techs.
Hmm. So there's two exceptions here, I think. Like the Scorpions are good into a lot of giant boards.
Yeah.
War Factory, Fortress, Meta. So you could play them and keep them. And also you could always look for a kill shot with rhinos. Just if the enemy doesn't really counter it, you could actually play 3 rhinos with explosion or like 2 rhinos in like a blender kind of style. Like
Yep.
it's always an option to pick rhinos for finishing a game. Giants have decent value, Scorpions have great value.
I think that's a good summary. And that only leaves one more round. Round 13 doesn't have the highest variety of units, I think.
14 out of 19.
Oh, okay.
But most of them just have 1 card.
Yeah. So again, here we see 5 level 1 Scorpions. Same thing Scey just said applies here. If you somehow make it to round 13, can be good on giant boards. Everything else, I mean, the triple Wraith can maybe be interesting. There's 4 level 2 hackers, a decent card. There's Wasps, 4 level 2s. I mean, all of these just aren't all that special, it seems.
Yes, and also if you look at the value, it didn't really climb that much.
Yeah.
There's like a few outliers, but the mid-tier stuff here is like 1300 supplies. And round 13, that's not that much.
Yeah.
And usually your games don't even go to round 13 anyway.
No. Don't think there will be all that much data available on these cards. Okay, so we've gone through all of the rounds. What are some of the takeaways? In terms of units, I would say, so it looks like high level units usually like get valued a bit lower. Arclights and marksmen are often very low value and like past round 3 or maybe 4 is not really worth picking up anymore. The only outlier being the round 10 like 6 Arclights. Overlords seem to be valued more highly than most of the other giants, and they are very powerful in the current meta. Rhinos seem to be a rather powerful card, especially early on, but later on they also have their uses. Scorpions seem to have very high value and can be useful on any board. If they don't work, you can sell out of it and you'll get some good money back. There are very good hacker cards, and then other than that, there are certain rounds where you have very high deployments.
Yes. I would also say Rhino has a lot of variety of cards.
Yep.
And they appear in most of the rounds. So there's like the discussion if unit cards are good or bad for aggressive play. And I do think a lot of defensive units outside of Scorpion have kind of bad cards. So like if you look at Vulcans, for example, Vulcans don't have the highest value in those cards here, and they don't appear that often.
I mean, they show up a decent amount. I mean, I think it's also like most people, if they want to try and defend with a Vulcan, they'll get it early on. So, like, unless they get the round 3 free Vulcan unlock, usually if that's what your defense is, you'll have them on the board. So, like, you won't actually get the unit card for that anyway. And I mean, defensively, like Overlord is still a very powerful card, um, both on push and defense. But yeah, the Rhinos is definitely like a card and a unit that I think has gotten much stronger because you can get them um, with such high deploys or such high levels, things that just previously weren't possible. Um, and it's kind of hard to deal with, especially like if you are playing more of a symmetrical game at first, but then suddenly you have to deal with like a blender on one side of the board. Even if you kind of expect it, it's hard to know where it's going to end up. You still have to guess a side, or you have to preemptively buy units to try and counter it, which, if it doesn't happen, puts you behind. Um, yeah, it is a card that has a lot of intricacies to it, I feel.
Okay, so what do we expect for the future for the unit cards?
Um, I
So
mean,
we prepared this for quite a time. Like it took a few days,
yeah,
and actually yesterday in the Discord, Bielak said that he this week, so probably on Thursday, so should be in 2 days, probably, that there will be another patch trying to improve on the unit cards.
yep. So we're going to see what changes those are. I guess one thing which we've talked about is that some of these rounds just have very low variety. Um, so there just seem to be certain cards which are calculated in a way, or it just says, well, I don't have the budget for this, or it doesn't fit in it. I'm not going to be offering those giants in this round or those specific units. Even though I think that if they want to keep the unit cards, they should at least have like a bit higher variety here, so we don't get situations of round 8 or 9 where cards that are already on the board show up. Um, Obviously, I think some of these are somewhat problematic. I'm not a big fan of like 5 hackers showing up. I think it becomes a bit of an RNG fest. Um, Especially if both players pick it, you're kind of sitting there like, well, I'm not really sure who's going to win this now. It just kind of has the same feel as Parasitic did, where you're just trying to get rid of the hackers as fast as possible, because otherwise all your units just shoot in every direction except the one you want them to. There's a couple like cards that are being valued very highly. So like, I don't know, Overlord is obviously very powerful right now. And it also seems to be one of the cards that shows up the most or has the highest value. Maybe that has to be tweaked.
Yes, that is actually something that I expect that Overlords get nerfed.
Like that would be a pretty normal thing, I would say. Rhinos, maybe. Like, these early Rhino cards are very, very good. They really are.
Hmm.
I kind of
So
like them, but at the same time, you also just have to look at the value and go like, yeah, well,
yeah.
maybe it just doesn't fit into the rest of the, I don't know.
So in the first patch, I think a lot of people complained about Arclights and Wasps.
Yeah.
Or high-level units, which probably includes marksmen. And I think now the developer specifically nerfed those units in those unit cards drops here.
Yeah.
And always, if you do something by hand, do it yourself without a system, you get those outliers like Rhinos or Overlords that are good units, but also have good value in the unit cards. Or like some rounds are also very different from others. So yeah.
Yeah. And what about the change they made in terms of, I think the change that they made in terms of unit card value after round or starting round 5 definitely has had some impact in terms of, doesn't feel like the later rounds are so swingy anymore. Um, But I also feel like a lot of people have just used the unit cards from round 5 onwards to just sell and basically build one of the very solid comps like before. It's something we have seen on the patch specifically. Just don't leave yourself vulnerable to cards that, or like, don't build units that get hard countered, and just build a solid board. Don't overcommit to anything. And, well, just basically, if you really want to play, or if you really want to win, just kind of play safe. And I think that has probably been amplified maybe a little bit here. I'm not sure what your thoughts are on that regard.
Hmm. Would you enjoy it if there was an indication when the next unit card arrives?
I mean, I feel like we already kind of have that. I mean, we know that the free unit cards show up in like 3-round intervals. So you kind of have an idea. I mean, I wouldn't mind it, but I also don't think it would change all that much. Like, you could plan maybe a little bit better, but that already was the case sometimes. Like, I wouldn't see a card on round 3, so I would know that a card shows up on round 4 and be like, oh, I'm not going to build this unit because I kind of hope that it shows up in the free unit cards, and I'd like to get it from that because I would get better value out of it. Obviously, there is a chance that after round 4, you immediately get another round on round 5. That is maybe something that I'm not that fond of.
Hmm.
I'm not a big fan of like the double rounds happening,
Yeah,
like round 4, 5, round
can
7,
agree.
8. It's not great for the game, I think.
So the reason I don't like double rounds is because usually if you make a new threat, let's say you play Rhinos, and the enemy wants to answer the threat with a specific unit, then he will do that in the next turn.
Yeah.
So if he gets that with a free card, you kind of lose 2 turns, in my opinion, in tempo with that specific stuff. If he would get the cards in round 6, let's say you get Rhinos round 4, then he builds an answer in round 5, and then he gets another answer for Rhinos in round 6. Then I'm okay with that because he usually already has an answer. So he has to decide which answer he actually wants to go through with and which one he wants to carry in the late game.
Yeah. I think that's those are some good points. Let's probably wrap this up. We've been going on for about an hour. I think we've covered most of the things. Some good advice being given. And I guess we've shown what's available out there. Again, might not be every single card currently. And on Thursday, everything might change yet again. But it gives a certain idea of how it works and some of the gaps or like imperfections, I guess, of the system. This was an interesting project to make. I'll make sure to link this mind map, if you will, down below for those of you that want to access it and have a look at it for yourselves. I want to say a big thanks to Scey for joining me on this and for doing all the research.
And I want to compliment you on your website. It looks very cool. Like, it's very pretty.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we've been putting in the work for this. So, yeah.
So if you're watching this on YouTube, comment how stupid we are because we don't hate the Unicard patch.
I think
there's a little bit of toxicity in the community.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's
but there's some people, like for example, the girlfriend of HD Sweet and Sour, which is very supportive of Rooster, and we appreciate that. Thank you.
Amazing. All right. Take care and see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.